Well, many of you who came here today to talk about going green already have an idea what that means. You may be already doing some recycling and incorporating some environmentally friendly practices in what you're doing every day, but I live in East Lansing, Michigan, and we have a special meaning to go green. So in my part of the world, if someone says go green, invariably somebody will respond with go white, as my little friend Henry here is saying. So we're not going to talk about the Spartans, we're not going to talk about football or sports today. We are going to talk about what does going green mean to your practice. Certainly we'd like to be healthier, we'd like to help prevent global warming and lessen our impact on the environment. There are some folks who talk about all the money we can save from going green, and as we go through the program today, we're going to talk about the fact that maybe initially that's not necessarily the case, because if you've gone to buy, for example, light bulbs, compact fluorescent light bulbs in the store, you go to Home Depot and buy the compact fluorescent light bulbs, you know that they cost you many times twice as much, and then they require special recycling. So it's not necessarily about saving money, but it's really about doing the right thing. Lessen our impact on the environment, preserve the planet for the future. So this is our legacy to our children and our grandchildren, which is to have less of an environmental impact. Now, I'm sure that you have all heard about the 3 R's of going green or being environmentally friendly. Reduce, reuse, recycle. This is the mantra for what we're going to talk about today. How can we reduce the amount of stuff that we consume in our dental practices? How can we reduce the amount of waste that we produce as a result of that? Are there things we can reuse rather than using disposables? However, we're going to have a discussion later about the fact that we can't reuse items at the sacrifice of infection control protocols. We have to be careful about what we can easily and economically reuse and what we can safely reuse, as opposed to eliminating all the disposables in our practice. I call that green to the extreme, that we reuse everything. I'm not sure it's possible. And probably one of the simplest things that you all can implement tomorrow, if you haven't already in your practice, is a recycling program. What about all the packaging materials that you have for the products that you receive in your practices every day, every week? What about the food items that you have? If you drink bottled water, if you get takeout containers from lunch, can you recycle things in your practice? What about the office paper and so forth? Can you institute a recycling program? Now, you may not be able to have pickup of your recycling materials in your office building or at your office building, but perhaps you can collect them and maybe somebody takes them home at the end of the week or the end of the month. Or make friends with the rest of the people in your area and see if you can start a business recycling program. Now, one of the things that we need to do, first of all, when we start talking about being environmentally friendly, is understand some key terms. Many of you have probably heard the term carbon footprint. Each of us on this planet creates a carbon footprint, and it has to do with the amount of carbon dioxide that we release into the atmosphere as we drive, as we produce things, excuse me, as we go about our daily activities. And these are the things that we hear about. If you remember all the information that Al Gore was promoting a number of years ago about global warming, these are the things that are producing climate changes. So a couple of things I would recommend to you are go to these 2 websites. One is called the Carbon Fund, and the other is called Carbon Footprint. So carbonfootprint.com and carbonfund.org are 2 great websites where you can go and actually calculate out what is your personal carbon footprint. And you can also calculate this out for your office or any kind of a business, but you can do it on a personal level as well. So it's the difference between commuting to work individually or carpooling, and for some people riding a bicycle to work or taking public transportation reduces your carbon footprint. Whether you use an electric lawnmower versus a gasoline lawnmower, very simple kinds of things will affect your carbon footprint. So I would recommend, and actually I'll give this to you as a homework assignment, go to one of these websites and calculate your footprint, because I think it'll be very, very interesting to you to find out how much impact you actually have. The next key term is called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. You'll read about this in articles in the literature, you'll hear about it on TV news stories. Again, these are gases that are released from either solid materials or liquids. So for us in dentistry, it may be an ultrasonic instrument cleaning solution. Does it release any volatile organic compounds when we use it? So the types of materials or products that we also may be using that this might be in, or might release volatile organic compounds, are things like paints and cleaners, spray cleaners. And a big issue for us in dental practices is what? Disinfecting solutions. Remember when we were told spray, wipe, spray back in the day? That was how we disinfected and cleaned and disinfected our surfaces. Well, the CDC guidelines no longer say spray, wipe, spray. What the CDC guidelines now say is clean first and then disinfect. So lessen your carbon footprint, lessen the release of volatile organic compounds by not spraying your surface disinfectant, so you're not releasing that material into the air all the time. So all of these things, printers, copiers, all the machines that we use that have some kind of material in them, ink or toner, any of those types of things, will help to release volatile organic compounds. Has anybody installed new carpet in their office or in their home recently? If you have, you know that there's kind of that new carpet smell that's going on for a few days, and those are the volatile organic compounds actually being released from the carbon fibers, the carpet fibers that comes from the manufacturing process. And so all of that information, all of that material is actually getting released into your home or your office environment, okay? So what we need to do then, if we're going to replace carpet, is look for carpet that is certified for low VOCs, and that's become a big issue. Or use materials for flooring that don't produce VOCs at all, and there are those environmentally friendly products out there. So reduce your carbon footprint, reduce the release of VOCs. These are some particularly toxic chemicals that are released from products that have VOCs. And some of these we may actually have in our offices. How many of you use some kind of acetone in your practices, okay? So acetone we use as a solvent, but it releases VOCs into the air. Benzene is a particularly nasty compound, and it's actually been designated as a carcinogen. So we don't want to be using products in our offices that have benzene in them. Formaldehyde, what kind of product do we have in our office that contains formaldehyde? How many of you are chemically sterilizing plastic items that can't be sterilized, heat sterilized? So then you're using glutaraldehyde, which is a derivative of formaldehyde. Toluene is a compound that's contained in a lot of nail polishes. So ladies, if you're polishing your fingernails regularly, know that you are being exposed to some toluene. So read the product labels when you purchase those products and buy those that say they are toluene free, then you will not have that release of volatile organic compounds. These are some very common examples of some dental products that you could use in your practice that are substitutes for products that do have a number of VOCs. Waterline cleaner, dental unit waterline cleaners in many cases have chlorines in them. Chlorine can be damaging to your dental units, but it also can release some VOCs. Evacuation system cleaners and disinfecting solutions, any of those types of products, read your labels, find out, do your research, and see if they have a more environmentally friendly product, but not just that it says it's environmentally friendly, that it says it has low VOC on the label.